I'm on a quest to generate $1,000 per week in eBay profit so that I can not only provide for my family, but also never get another 9-to-5 job again. We've got a couple of garage sales on the map today. Let's see what we can find.
Got some perfect weather for this today, right? Sorry if I'm a little early here today. What price did you have on the Switch stuff?
All of them are 15.
Okay.
Except one, because it doesn't have the cover, it's a Sonic game. You'll see it.
Gotcha.
It's right in the front.
Okay.
That one is 10. And then
Okay.
the Switch is 75.
Got it. Okay.
Everything's been reset. That goes... Not the bag, but the other stuff goes on that table.
All right, well, I will get these from you. So I got 15, 30, 45, 60, 75.
Okay.
70.
Okay.
I gotta give you $5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you very
so
much.
much.
Now, before we hit up this next sale, if you're new here, I'm on a side quest to collect the top 164 games of all time, but I can only spend up to 10% of the profits I make on eBay to acquire new games for the collection. Stick around because at the end of the week, we'll be checking another game off of the list with only a handful left to go. Now, let's go hit up this next sale.
Well, the thing is, honestly, there's a little method to eBay. You have to use the application. Do you have the app on your phone? Oh, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work though. It's a lot of work. Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. That's why I had one today. I'm freaking gonna show myself.
What price you got on your video game stuff?
For the whole box, I'd do like 150.
What about just for the, so I'd be interested in...
I'm doing $5 each, and then the consoles are $20 each.
20 bucks each, okay.
The whole box is 150.
Okay. You don't by any chance have the power cable for this thing, right? Okay.
I asked already. I was going to get it.
All right, so I grabbed 3 consoles and 2 games. So 70, right? 70. You don't happen to have any other video game stuff, do you? No? Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, so good morning. It is Saturday, and normally I don't pack on Saturday. Oh, excuse me, it's Sunday. So it is Sunday. Still like half asleep. But we are leaving for vacation today. I'm actually going down the Jersey Shore for a couple days. And before I head out, I'm going to pack up a couple items, and then I will be back here on Thursday. It's probably going to be a slow week of sales just with the time off. That does kind of tend to, drop your listings in the results, understandably. But let's go ahead and jump into these 5 items. First up, we've got this pair of, they are called Nike Hyperdunks, like Blake Griffin shoe from 2012. Paid $10 for these at a garage sale. Sold them for $40 with free shipping. Picked up this pair of swim trunks from a thrift store for $5. It's this brand J-Press. Sold it for $20 plus shipping. Sold this 47 brand New Jersey Devils hat. Picked up for $5 from a thrift store. Sold for $15 plus shipping. And picked up a huge lot of Bionicle a couple weeks back for $60. There's tons and tons of sets in there. I maybe have like $2 into this set. And sold it for $12 plus shipping. And then finally, very exciting item, picked this up for $3 from a garage sale. It is this giant Jellycat Panda Bear. So Jellycat is definitely a bolo item. Keep an eye out for those because they resell for very good money. I sold this one for $81 on an offer plus shipping. So let's go ahead and get these packed up, and I will see you back here on Thursday. All right, so good afternoon. It's Thursday. Just got back from my little 3 or 4 day family vacation, went down the shore, had a lovely time, and now we are back to it. If you've been following my videos for a little while, you'll know that I'm kind of in this like weird in-between phase of, for the past couple years, I've been a stay-at-home parent as my primary job. I haven't really been bringing money in. Before that, I was in like corporate sales and, did very well, but was just really not super happy with that job. And, the things I had always wanted to do was get to be there with my kids when they were young. And I'm so grateful that I got to do that. But that era is like almost over. It is August 28th. By the time you're seeing this, school have already started. I'll be putting a little bit more time into this, what is currently a side hustle. Both of them are home right now for the summer. They had 1 month in July where they were doing a summer camp, and I kind of got to dive into it a little more fully, this whole like eBay reselling thing, and was starting to see like immediate results. I have a huge death pile, stuff that it's not that I'm afraid to list, I literally just like don't have time to do it. I know that's probably what everybody says, right? But genuinely, once September hits, like I think September, October, November, things are going to start popping off because I'm going to have so much time to actually go and list all this stuff. So yeah, so it's, it's been a slow couple weeks, just because the both of them are home and I'm not really listing new items. I'm listing like 1 or 2 things a day when I can find the time to, and, I'm doing my current primary job. And then, first day of school is September 4th. So then, that week is going to be a little bit slow. And then my brother is getting married in Italy. So I will be out of town for another week for that. So really it's like middle of September is when I'm going to really actually have the time to like dive into this fully. And even then, I'm not doing it like quote full time. My plan is to drop them off at school, work from, let's say about 9 to 1, get some lunch, do some stuff around the house, pick them up at 2:30 from school, and then spend the rest of the day with them. I'm very grateful to get to do that. And really my goal is to, supplement our income with this side hustle because, there's a possibility that I could get a part-time job, right? But it's like, no one's going to let me just clock in and clock out when I want. They're not going to pay me probably as much as I can make on eBay for these types of part-time jobs. And I don't really want to go back to that office life. I used to do that every day for, that was horrible, right? Like getting up at 6 a.m. to get ready for work, to get on a bus, to go into the city, work for 12 hours, get back on the bus and come back home and get home at 8 o'clock. Like, it's just not really the lifestyle that I want. And, I've kind of debate whether I want to talk about this or not, but I've gotten some comments like, wow, you could make so much more money just getting a job. Yeah, probably. But that's not everything. The money's not everything. So I think what this side hustle is allowing me to do, I think as a job, it's like, what an amazing job. If you're a parent of young kids, this is really, it's like a dream job. You get to clock in when you want, you get to clock out when you want, as long as, you're able to provide for your family, which I am. Yeah, it's really just kind of incredible. And honestly, I'm really excited to kind of dive into it more because I have all of this, like I said, just like pent up inventory that I have not been able to take advantage of. So I've got like thousands of dollars worth of stuff sitting in my basement that once I get a chance to start listing, these sales are going to increase because I've been maintaining this like $15,000 90-day average with really not that much time into it, which I've really been happy with. So yeah, if you've been following me, you'll know I'd love to obtain this goal of $1,000 profit per week. Because if I was working a full-time job, I could make a lot more than that, especially putting like my sales skills to work, because that's what I was doing before all of this. And I left some good opportunities to be a stay-at-home parent. I don't regret that at all, not for a single second. My family's still able to take care of themselves. My wife works, like all of that is good. You know, if I was to go back and do that, if it was just about the money, yeah, sure, I would go back to that lifestyle and get on the bus every day and, you know, not get to see my kids. And that's not really what it's about, you know, for me. And that might change, you know, in 5 to 10 years, that might change, where I would want to say, well, you know, they're in all their activities and they're hanging out with their friends and they're doing their thing and they don't really need me as much. And, you know, I imagine like when I was in high school, like I was with my friends, I wasn't, you know, at home, they didn't need me, but that's a long way off, you know, that's 10 years from now. And then who knows, maybe in 10 years, you know, who knows how different the world is. And I might not even be able to get that type of job back again if I'd been out of work for so long. So who knows, I'm not really all that worried about it, but if I can make that $1,000 a week, like we'll have more than enough, like we will be very well taken care of. So yeah, that's kind of my goal. And, debated whether I wanted to kind of talk about this at all. I'm kind of rambling a little bit, I think. My thoughts were not well organized. I'm kind of shooting off the cuff here a little bit. But yeah, so very happy with how things are going for how little time I've actually put into this. And I really do think in that, you know, 4 to 5 hours a day, like I'm not sitting down here like grinding for 12 hours a day. If I'm going to grind at something for 12 hours a day, I'll just get on that bus and go back to New York City again. Like, might as well make more money in the same amount of time. But the reason I'm doing this is not, that's really the crux of what I wanted to kind of get across, is like, I don't think the reason to do eBay and to do this is to make as much money as you can. I think there's easier ways to make money, you know, but the difference is I can't clock in and clock out when I want. I don't have to report to anybody. I don't have a quota, you know, I don't have a set number of like calls I'm making every day that somebody else told me to make. So that's really the reason to do it, is that I can walk my kids to school. I can walk there to pick them up. I can go to all the events. I can do pretty much anything I want. And if I want to work 4 hours a day on eBay and can fit that into my schedule whenever that works for me, that's the reason to do it, I think, is for the flexibility. And, you know, if you're retired and you're like, I don't want to work 12 hours a day, I just want to like supplement my income. You know, maybe my Social Security doesn't quite cover everything, or my retirement savings don't quite cover everything. I just need to make an extra $1,000 a month. You know, I don't need to make, yeah, sure, I could go back to work and make 6 figures if you're a college educated person with good skills or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is, you know, I just need that little extra couple $100 a month. And on eBay, that's like actually very, very easy to pull off, I think. Apologies for the ramble. Now we're going to get into, since the weekend. So I left on Sunday, came back yesterday, and now today is Thursday. And we've got 9 things we've got to pack up. So first, I sold another jersey. So I mentioned I picked up a bunch of these from a garage sale, and I picked up a bunch more from a thrift store. So I have like tons of football jerseys listed. So it's actually very good timing right now. Unfortunately, this one had a flaw that I missed. And so I ended up selling it for $15. It had a rip in the armpit. Sold a pair of Champion shorts, paid $1 from a garage sale, sold it for $10 plus shipping. Sold a swatch that I paid $11 for from a thrift store. Unfortunately, this one did not work. Did really well on the rest of those. I picked up like 3 or 4 of them for $10 a piece. Sold them for like $40, $50 a piece. And this was the last one. Sold for $22 plus shipping. Sold a Peter Millar golf polo. Paid $5 from a thrift store. Sold for $20 plus shipping. This was the best sale over the last couple days. It is this Avon Cottage Collection Spice Village. So it's 12 like little ceramic houses that sit on this little shelf. Paid $10 for this from an estate sale. Sold it for $200 plus shipping. So that one was very nice. Got this vintage Seiko. We paid $1 for this from a garage sale. Sold it for $40 plus shipping. And then finally I have this new with tags Carhartt shirt. I think this was $6 from a thrift store, and sold it for $20 with free shipping. This was an item I listed a long time ago. My photo setup is terrible. The photos on this are horrendous. But I was like, do I go back and rephotograph all this stuff? I don't know. So I definitely didn't make as much money on this as I could have. And I've been selling clothing a lot faster now that, you know, I've figured out the photos and I'm learning a little bit more about the brands and stuff like that. But still a good item, but I think I could have got a little bit more money for this had the photos been a lot better. But anyway, those are the 9 items I've got to pack up. Oh, 8 items, excuse me, I can't count. So those are the 8 items we've got today. Let's get these packed up right now.
And I found some time for a thrift run this week. Let's go check out this Goodwill. I managed to find a couple of good items. First up was this vintage 70s made in USA shirt from the brand Manzini with this very eye-catching pattern. Should be a nice little $30 item. And I also found this 4-way stretch golf shirt made by the brand 7 Diamonds that should be about $25 or so with good sell-through.
It is now Friday. I was here just a day ago. Bit of an unusual week since I was away for a couple days at the beginning. Been super busy getting the kids ready for school. That starts next week, and then I'm hoping it's going to be a much busier week. Hopefully sales will pick up, and I'm going to have more time to start cranking out listings of all this stuff I've had piling up. So I am not tallying up the game fund, but rather this video is going to be 2 weeks worth of content. And the only item we've got to pack up today, I paid $10 for this from a thrift store. It is this vintage Wayne Chrebet New York Jets jersey. Sold it for $24 plus shipping, and hopefully we have a nice little busy weekend of sales. So let's get this packed up.
Now today is Saturday, and on our way to some family festivities for Labor Day weekend, we came across this one garage sale. For $20 total, I picked up a couple of interesting items. Let me show you what I got. All right, so good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, not Monday. Yesterday was Labor Day. So nice long little weekend of sales, and we've got 14 items that we've got to pack up today. Starting with, picked up a couple of Switch games at a garage sale a few weeks back for $15 a piece. Kept a couple for myself, and we're going to sell the rest. We sold this copy of Pokemon Scarlet for $40 with free shipping. Sold this lot of these mini gumball vending machine baseball helmets. Picked these up for $1 from a garage sale and sold them very fast for $14 plus shipping. Sold this Howdy Doody cookie jar, picked up for, I believe it was $30 from an estate sale, and sold it for $75 plus shipping. That one took quite a long time to sell, but glad to have it out of here finally. Sold this NES game. It's like this indie game that I had picked up that unfortunately didn't have a great experience with. This has happened to me a couple times now, unfortunately. Anyway, I hope the next person has a better experience with it. And I sold it for $68 plus shipping. So we'll cover the eBay fees, but kind of breaking even on that. And then to the same person, I sold these 2 NES guides, these little strategy books, for $17 plus shipping. I think we paid $1 each for these, so $2 into these books. Sold another Switch game for $24 plus shipping. This is Super Mario Party. Make a couple bucks on that one. And then sold Mario Party Superstars for $30 plus shipping. Again, $15 into that. Picked up this women's Giants jersey for $3 from a garage sale. Sold it for $35 plus shipping. Sold another pair of shorts. Paid $3 for a huge lot of these. I got to be running out soon, but they've been selling really fast, which has been great. But sold another pair for $20 plus shipping. It's called the J. Crew Tech Dock Short. Sold a pair of women's Coach penny loafers. Paid $5 from a garage sale. Sold it for $100 plus shipping. For $20, picked up this Hooked on Phonics set. Sold for $75 plus shipping. Sold 2 3DS games. Picked these up as part of a huge video game lot a couple months back. Have a couple bucks into each one. But sold 2 3DS games to the same buyer for $18 total. It's New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario 3D Land. And then finally sold this Giro bicycle helmet. Paid $10 from a garage sale only a couple weeks back and sold it for $36 with free shipping. So there you go. That is everything we sold today, and let's get these packed up. And now for another quick thrift run. They were actually running a sale where all of their clothing was 50% off, and luckily found a couple of items worth grabbing. Today is Wednesday. I've only got one thing I've got to pack up today, but it is a good one. For $10 at a garage sale a couple months back, we bought this vintage Art Nouveau Art Deco lamp, and it sold again maybe about 4 or 5 months later. $300, full asking price plus free shipping. Very cool little item. And kind of fun. It is going to a restaurant in New York City. So if we ever want to go check it out, we could head out, jump on the train and go go out to a nice meal and probably see our item on display in this restaurant. But that was kind of cool. So that is the one item that's sold today. But we've also got our Wednesday Weird and Wacky Bolo. And today we are talking about these figures. They go by the name of muscle mutts. So they're kind of like, if you're familiar with street sharks, they really look a lot like those. And information on these is a bit scarce online. I haven't dug like super deep on these, but they obviously look a lot like street sharks. And it seems to be some comments that this was like a small indie toy brand that made these, which is why they're so rare, something called Streetwise Designs. And then it got picked up by Mattel. They like licensed these to be able to make street sharks. I don't know how true that is, but they clearly look very similar. There's literally 6 listed on eBay, so they are exceedingly rare. 9 sold in the last 90 days. Seems like there's only 4 characters. Gutter. Somebody sold this Gutter figure for $1,100. Sugar for $900. Seems like it's obviously based on condition and completeness. Another one for $1,200. Someone sold the full set of all 4 for $3,300 on bids. Somebody got $1,600 for Gutter, and somebody sold 2 together as a lot for $1,000. And then there's, a couple listed as well. Somebody has a sealed one for $3,000. So we'll see if they can manage to find somebody who wants one that badly. But yeah, they actually sell. So like $1,000 for one of these Muscle Mutts action figures. So keep an eye out for these at your garage sales and flea markets. And that was Wednesday's Weird and Wacky Bolo. Now let's get this item packed up. So I got this box of some lower end stuff that I've been setting aside for a couple of weeks, some leftovers from some bigger purchases. So I've got a couple of like loose DS games here, 3DS games. I'm taking all this stuff into the game store for a trade tonight. And we'll see if they have any N64 games that I need. Unlikely at this point. The list is very thin. So I'll probably be taking a cash offer. But there's nothing like crazy high end. It's all stuff that's like $10 or less. A couple of Intellivision games. Most of these were from a haul I picked up a few weeks back for about $200, and the guy had like tons of sports games and a complete in-box Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So I kept the Punch-Out, sold a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to take another little round in. I paid $10 for all these Atari games, and I really don't know much about the value of Atari, so I wasn't sure if there was a banger in here or not. I thought Donkey Kong was worth a little bit more than it was, about $10, but again, not really worth listing on its own. So I'm just going to take these all into the game store, probably end up taking a cash trade, but we'll see what they end up giving me for these. So we're heading over there later tonight. Unfortunately, they didn't want the Atari or most of the sports stuff, but sold the DS games and a couple one-off items for $25 in cash. I'll just end up lotting the rest up and hopefully squeeze another $20 to $30 or so out of this myself. It is Friday. I've got 7 more things that have sold since Wednesday. And then as usual, we are tallying up the game fund and hopefully adding to the N64 collection. We're getting very close to the finale here of my wish to collect the top 100 N64 games. So stay tuned for that. But for now, let's jump into the items that sold. Up first is this Hercules Rocksmith USB guitar adapter. So it's a way for you to plug your guitar into your computer, your Xbox, your PlayStation. And there's some software, specifically Rocksmith, I believe, is actually like a game that it can register what you're playing on your guitar. So it kind of teaches you how to play. And I actually found this in a bundle of wires I picked up from a garage sale. And it was just like part of a bunch of other stuff. So probably paid $1 for this, not even. And sold it for $20 plus shipping. Sold a Gruen watch. Bought a couple watches from a garage sale for $20. So I have about $7 into this watch. Sold it for $42 plus shipping. Sold a 3DS game, Ocarina of Time 3D, for $15 plus shipping. Have a couple bucks into that. Paid $1 for this Hinder CD at a garage sale. Sold it very quick, actually. It's sealed, that's why it sold. But for $18 plus shipping. Sold those Hunter boots I picked up about a week ago for $50 plus shipping. Paid $10 for those.
Sold another SanDisk solid state drive, paid I think it was $7 a piece for these from a garage sale, and sold that for $25 with free shipping. And then finally, for $2, picked this up at a flea market. It is this Resident Evil Code Veronica X for the PS2. Sold it for $17 with free shipping. And that is everything we've got today. Let's go ahead and get these packed up.
And with that, over the past 2 weeks, we generated $815 in profit, leaving us with $94 to spend on N64 games. And for $60, we are adding the final game we grabbed at the convention a few weeks back, Space Station Silicon Valley, putting us at 94 out of our top 100 N64 games. And if you want to see me finally cross that $1,000 per week goal, don't forget to subscribe because it will be happening soon. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Hey, låter musik. Hej då.